the hidden war nobody talks about. Two nuclear superpowers, 4 billion people, the world's longest disputed border. What if I told you that China and India fought a secret war in 1962 that most people have never heard of? A conflict so brutal that it's still shaping global politics today, with soldiers literally punching each other with nail-studded clubs on frozen mountaintops. This is the story of how the British Empire created a border crisis that turned two ancient civilizations into sworn enemies. Picture this. For centuries, China and India were separated by Tibet, a massive buffer zone in the Himalayas. No shared border, no problem, right? Wrong. Enter the British Empire in the early 1900s. They had just conquered India and were getting nervous about Chinese expansion. So what did they do? They drew some lines on a map. In 1914, a British official named Henry McMahon literally took a red pencil and drew what he thought should be the border between India and Tibet. The problem? He never asked China. When Chinese representatives found out, they stormed out of the meeting, shouting, "You can't just give away our land." But the British didn't care. They secretly signed the treaty with Tibet anyway, grabbing a chunk of territory the size of South Korea for their Indian colony. China's response? We don't recognize this. Tibet belongs to us, so any deals you make are worthless. And that's how Britain accidentally created one of the world's most dangerous border disputes, then walked away, leaving India and China to deal with the mess. Fast forward to 1947. India gains independence and inherits all of Britain's border problems. Meanwhile, China is going through its own revolution. Then, in 1951, everything changed. China invaded Tibet and crushed its independence movement. Suddenly, these two giants were staring at each other across a disputed border with no buffer zone between them. The tension was electric. Both countries started moving troops to the border. India built military outposts. China built roads and stationed soldiers. It was like a deadly game of chess played on the roof of the world. The breaking point came in 1959, when the Dalai Lama fled Tibet and India gave him sanctuary. China was furious. They saw this as India meddling in their internal affairs. Both sides kept pushing forward, building bases closer and closer to each other. It was like two freight trains speeding toward each other on the same track. October 20th, 1962. While the world was distracted by the Cuban Missile Crisis, China struck. At dawn, Chinese forces launched a massive surprise attack across the entire border. Indian troops, caught completely off guard, were overwhelmed in hours. This wasn't just any battlefield. Imagine fighting a war at 14,000 feet above sea level, where the air is so thin you can barely breathe. Temperatures drop to -40 degrees Fahrenheit, and one wrong step sends you tumbling down a cliff. The Chinese military machine was unstoppable. In just 1 month, they advanced deep into Indian territory. The casualties tell the story. China lost 720 soldiers. India lost over 4,000, with thousands more captured or missing. Indian Prime Minister Nehru, the man who preached peace to the world, was humiliated. The Hindi Chinni bye-bye. Indians and Chinese are brothers slogan became a bitter joke overnight. But here's the twist that shocked everyone. Just as Chinese forces were winning everywhere, they suddenly stopped. On November 21st, China declared a unilateral ceasefire and withdrew to their original positions. Why? China had made their point. Don't mess with us. They wanted to teach India a lesson, not conquer territory. The 1962 war changed everything. India realized they weren't the regional power they thought they were. China proved they were a force to be reckoned with. Both countries went nuclear. Both built up their militaries. The border became one of the most militarized places on Earth. Even today, 60 years later, Chinese and Indian soldiers face off in the Himalayas. In 2020, they fought with medieval weapons, clubs wrapped in barbed wire, because their agreements banned guns. 20 soldiers died in hand-to-hand combat at 15,000 feet. The absurdity is real. Two countries with space programs and AI technology are having there. Soldiers throw rocks at each other because of lines a British bureaucrat drew over a century ago. So there you have it. How Britain's colonial mapmaking turned two ancient neighbors into modern rivals. Today, China and India represent 40% of humanity, but they're still trapped by the ghosts of colonial borders. The lesson? Sometimes the most dangerous conflicts aren't the ones making headlines. They're the ones simmering quietly in the mountains, waiting for the next spark. What other hidden conflicts shape our world? Hit subscribe and let us know what forgotten wars you want us to uncover next.